Imagine a place that seems frozen in time, but entirely by choice. A kingdom hidden among the highest mountains on Earth, where progress is not measured by the amount of money in circulation, but by the happiness of its people. In this country, the internet only arrived in the year 2000. Smoking is practically a crime. You will not find a single traffic light or a single high-rise building in the capital, and there is more. Houses are decorated with paintings of giant genitals, and marijuana grows freely across the country like wild grass, yet no one dares to touch it. Welcome to Bhutan, the Kingdom of the Dragon. One of the most isolated and expensive places to visit on the planet. But why do they live like this? Is it true that they are the happiest people in the world? Or is that just a facade for strict government control? Today, I am going to show you what real life in Bhutan is like. From landing at one of the most dangerous airports in the world to the strange habit of eating pure chili peppers with cheese for breakfast. Get ready, because nothing in Bhutan follows the logic of the rest of the world, and I am not going to hide anything from you. If you enjoy discovering the most complex places on the planet, you are in the right channel. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe so you never miss a new video. To understand Bhutan, you first have to get in, and let me warn you right away, it is not for just anyone. Bhutan is one of the most closed-off countries in the world, and they intend to keep it that way. Unlike almost every other country in Asia, you cannot simply buy a ticket, make a reservation, and wander around on your own. To set foot on Bhutanese soil, you need special government authorization, a mandatory guide who will stay with you 100% of the time, and most striking of all, you have to pay a fee. And it is not cheap. The government charges a sustainable development fee that can reach $200 per person per day. The goal is to prevent mass tourism. They do not want millions of foreigners trampling their culture. They want fewer tourists, but tourists who leave behind a lot of money. And if the bureaucracy does not scare you, the landing will. The country's only international airport is in Paro. It is surrounded by peaks rising more than 5,000 meters high. The runway is short, and the maneuver requires such precision that this is a fact. Only about 17 to 24 pilots in the entire world hold the special license and technical training required to land there. It is a visual flight. If the weather closes in even a little, no plane comes down. It is pure adrenaline before you even step off the aircraft. But where exactly is this hidden place? Bhutan is a small country tucked away in the Himalayan mountain range in South Asia. It is landlocked and squeezed between two giants, China to the north through the region of Tibet, and India to the south, east, and west. It is a truly geographic isolation that helped protect its traditions for centuries. To give you a sense of scale, Bhutan has only about 800,000 inhabitants. That is fewer people than in many capitals around the world. The country is divided into 20 districts, and besides the capital, Thimphu, its most important cities are Pucholing, the main land gateway from India, Paro, where the airport is located, and Punaku, the former capital. Their system of government is unique as well. Bhutan is a constitutional monarchy, but with a curious twist. It was the king himself who pushed for the country to become a democracy. The country has a bicameral parliament made up of the National Council and the National Assembly. Yes, there are elected politicians and political parties, and elections are held every 5 years. The Prime Minister, currently chairing Tobgay, handles the administration, while the Dragon King, Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuck, remains the nation's ultimate symbol of unity and moral authority. The people relate to all of this with deep respect. At first, many Bhutanese did not even want the right to vote, because they trusted the king's wisdom completely. Today, they participate actively, but politics there is far less noisy than in the West. Everything is approached with balance and the long term in mind. And if you have to pay for something there, you will be using the Bhutanese ngultram, the local currency. But pay attention, its value is pegged to the Indian rupee, which also circulates widely throughout the country. The cost of living is kept under control to make sure modernity does not crush the simplicity of life in the countryside. When you finally reach the capital, Thimphu, the first thing you notice is the visual silence. There are no skyscrapers. In fact, there is a national law. No building may rise above 6 stories in order to preserve the mountain views and the country's spiritual harmony. But it is not just the height that matters. All buildings must follow the traditional Bhutanese style. You know those carved wooden details, sloping roofs, and colorful painted designs? They are mandatory. If you want to build a sleek modern glass house, the government simply will not allow it. That is how they keep the country's identity intact. And here is the most viral fact about Thimphu. It is one of the very few capitals in the world with no traffic lights. At one point, the government actually tried to install one, but the population hated it. They found the machine cold and impersonal, so it was removed and replaced with a traffic officer standing in a decorated booth. Wearing white gloves, he directs the cars with movements that look like a choreographed dance. And the detail that makes it even better, it works perfectly. In Bhutan, human contact matters more than technology. Now you are probably wondering, how does this country sustain itself? Bhutan's biggest source of income is the sale of hydroelectric power to India, followed by luxury tourism and agriculture. But what truly defines its economy is not GDP, gross domestic product. It is GNH, gross national happiness. It may sound like empty talk, but in Bhutan, this is serious business. It is written into the constitution. The government believes there is no point in a country being rich if its people are stressed, its nature destroyed, and its culture forgotten. GNH is built on four main pillars: sustainable development, meaning progress must benefit everyone; cultural preservation, meaning traditions cannot be allowed to die; environmental conservation, because nature is sacred; and good governance, meaning the government must serve the people. They take this so seriously that Bhutan is carbon negative. The country absorbs more pollution than it produces. More than 70% of its territory is covered by untouched forest, and the law states that this can never drop below 60%. They chose trees over factories. But Bhutan is not all meditation and silence. The country has a deeply unusual side too. If you walk through its villages, you might do a double take when you look at the walls of the houses. It is common to see giant paintings of penises, often decorated with ribbons, or even breathing fire. Relax, it is not what you think. In Bhutan, this is not considered vulgar. It is a sacred symbol of fertility and, above all, protection. People believe these images drive away evil spirits and even gossip. All of this traces back to a 15th century monk named Drukpa Kunli, known as the Divine Madman. He used, let's say, highly unorthodox and shocking methods to teach Buddhism and ward off demons. Today, the phallus has become a protective charm you find everywhere, from keychains to the fronts of houses. And speaking of things that surprise people, let's talk about the food. In most of the world, chili is a seasoning. In Bhutan, chili is the main vegetable. The national dish is ima dachi. Ima means chili, and dachi means cheese. It is basically a bowl of hot chilies soaked in melted cheese. They eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For a tourist, it is a trial by fire, literally. Another thing that leaves visitors stunned is the marijuana. In Bhutan, it grows everywhere, along the roadside, in sidewalk cracks, in public gardens. It is basically a wild weed. But here is the irony. For centuries, Bhutanese people had no idea that others smoked it to get high. Farmers used to harvest the plant to feed their pigs. They believed it increased the animals' appetite and calmed them down, helping them gain weight faster. Today, with the country more open to the outside world, the government has banned human consumption, and the penalties are severe. If someone is caught using marijuana as a drug or trafficking it, they can face anywhere from 1 to 5 years in prison, depending on the amount. The government is merciless about preventing addiction from damaging the nation's happiness. So even though you can see the plant on nearly every corner, no one dares pick it to smoke. And if you see someone smiling and notice that their teeth are red, almost as if they are bleeding, do not panic. That is doma, or betel nut. People mix the nut with lime and a spicy leaf and chew it throughout the day. It is a natural stimulant that stains the mouth and teeth a deep red. It is basically their version of coffee, and you will see red spit marks on the ground all over the cities. It is also worth mentioning that the national sport here is archery, but it is nothing like the Olympics. In Bhutan, the targets are set at an astonishing distance of 145 meters. When someone lands a shot, the team celebrates with dancing and singing, sometimes to cheer, sometimes to mock the other side. It is a loud, social event, usually accompanied by local drinks and a lot of laughter. The second most popular sport, of course, is football, which has been growing fast among younger people. Life in Bhutan is shaped by rules designed to preserve order and purity. Take smoking, for example. Bhutan became the first country in the world to completely ban the sale of tobacco in 2004. Cigarettes are extremely hard to find there, and smoking in public can get you into serious trouble. Another interesting rule is the dress code. To work in government offices, attend school, or visit temples, citizens are required to wear the national dress. For men, that is the go, a robe-like garment that falls to the knees and is tied with a belt. For women, it is the kira, a long and elegant dress. It creates a sense of visual unity that you do not really see anywhere else in Asia. And here comes one of Bhutan's most fascinating contradictions. It is a Buddhist country, and people believe deeply in the preservation of life. Because of that, killing animals within the country is forbidden. There are no slaughterhouses in Bhutan. That is the law, and it is strictly observed out of respect for Buddhist teachings. But Bhutanese people love meat. So how do they solve that? They import all their meat from India. In other words, they do not kill, but they do eat. It is a diplomatic solution that allows them to preserve both their diet and their spiritual conscience. Spiritual life is the heart of Bhutan. There are around 25,000 active monasteries across the country. Many monks begin their journey at just 5 years old and spend their lives studying sacred texts. Some take isolation to the extreme, making vows of absolute silence that last 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days. The country's most sacred site is Paro Taksang Monastery, the tiger's nest built in the 17th century on a cliffside 900 meters above the valley. According to legend, Guru Rinpoche arrived there flying on the back of a tigress to meditate. Reaching it requires hours of steep hiking. But be warned, filming or taking photos inside the temples is strictly forbidden, and you must leave your equipment in lockers before entering. Inside, silence is mandatory, and the atmosphere is one of pure devotion. Interestingly, the monks' daily life is not just about prayer. They are passionate about football and organize inter-monastery tournaments that they take very seriously. On the rooftops of the living quarters, it is common to see chilies and fruit drying in the sun to help supply food during the harsh winter, when temperatures plunge at 3,000 meters of altitude. This reverence for the mountains runs so deep that Gangkhar Punsum, the highest peak in the country, has never been climbed. The government banned mountaineering above 6,000 meters out of the belief that the summits of these mountains are the untouched dwelling place of the gods. Living in Bhutan may seem like a dream to some and a challenge to others. But one thing is certain. This country is not just a place on the map. It is an experience that makes you question what really matters in life. If you are looking for material luxury, this is not your place. But if you want to understand how human beings can live in harmony with the land and with one another, then the Kingdom of the Dragon is waiting for you. And what about you? After hearing all of this, would you have the courage to live in a country like this? Leave a comment below. I want to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this journey through the most mysterious country in the world, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with that friend who would love to visit Bhutan. Every week, there is a new video about the most beautiful and contradictory places on the planet. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back next week.